welcome back to another edition of Walking in Spirit of Truth. And I'm your host, John Craig, and my wife and I pastor Life of Worship Ministries here in Amarillo, Texas. And we're so glad that you have joined us today. And we've been going through a journey in the book of Jubilees, like we did a journey in Enoch. We so many other books, because it's just we're taking it step by step and like, what is the revelation? What's the reveal? What are the different things that are filling in the between the spaces of the Torah? Those things that sometimes keep us wondering, and then sometimes it gets filled in these extra uh, just call it writings that have authoritative value from the scriptures. And so we've been going through this journey. We are all the way up to chapter 32 in the book of Jubilees. So if you're following along, I'm using the Et Sefer version of the scriptures, and it's been very revealing. It's just been a lot of fun. And last week we got to talk about this amazing prophetic word that Itzhak had given over the two sons, Levi, and who's the other one that went with him? Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, two of the sons. I can't remember. All right, so it was quite a story there, because Jacob, he got back into the land. He got everybody to Beit El, and they said, "I'm going to go get my mom and dad." And so, you two boys, you come with me. We're going to go get them, and we're going to bring them back here, and we're going to bless Yahweh. We're going to do a. We're going to. He built an altar, and we're going to give an offering to Yahweh. And so he goes and he meets with Itzhak. He's like, "Dude, I'm just old. I'm too old to make the journey, but take your mom." Yeah, because she's younger than I am. Yeah, she can make the journey. So, and nevertheless, Itzhak and Jacob and the two boys had, I say the two boys because they're grown men, at least at this point in time, and they got blessed, and they got prophesied over, and it was all good. And when we finished up last week, it was finishing up in verse 32 of chapter 31, where it says, "And he said, Now I know that I have an eternal hope, and my sons also before the Elohim of all, and thus it's ordained concerning the two, and they record it as an eternal testimony unto them on the heavenly tablets, how Itzhak blessed them." Now stop right there. It was Judah. That's right. It was Yehuda and Levi. So Judah and uh, Levi, and both of them, or Levi, if you want to say it in the American vernacular, but they were the one they got blessed. Why those two? Why were they chosen to go meet Esau? Well, I mean, did the other boys not count? I mean, aren't they not all part of Jacob's sons? But nevertheless, that's what took place. That's where we left off. And of all different things to be recorded in the heavenly tablets, perhaps that was part of Moses's download. It's like, okay, here's the heavenly tablets, here's the recordings. Moses, you spend some time with it on the mountain. Of course, it's the living word, it's the living Yeshua up there on the mountain with him, and giving him the download. But nevertheless, that's where we left off. Life of Worship Ministries, Amarillo, Texas. Come join us on Shabbat. We have our Life of Worship Ministries YouTube channel, and you can catch us right there on our live stream, at noon Central Time. We have our Torah portion study, and we go for about 2 hours, and then we take an hour off. We come back at 3 p.m. Central Time, where we have a time of praise, worship, ministry, and a message that's followed in a second stream. We call that our encounter service, because holding to a tradition that we've had for a long time at Life of Worship Ministries, which is kind of the combination of worship and that ministry time and the message, all designed to give us an encounter with the Most High. And why do I say that? And why did I say it that way? Some people come and they look for deep Torah portion type of study, and this is so shallow, it sounds like the church or what, right? And we have that. We have the deep study during Torah portion. The other part's meant to encourage and to inspire and make practical application. And we've not all arrived, and we're all on a journey together. And some are a little bit further down that journey than others, but nevertheless, in fact, the last three messages I've given is talking about the power of the name of Yeshua. If you haven't heard it, you need to go back and hear it, because you need to understand whose authority is standing right behind you when you're praying. You need to understand what the doorway really means when we go to the throne room. You need to understand the power of attorney that's given in that name. You need to understand that this is the name above all names, and that represents the one seated in the heavenly places, the highest place of all. You got to understand those things, and I've gone into detail with it in the last 3 messages that I've done at Life of Worship Ministries. You got to go back and hear it, and you can get it here on the Life of Worship Ministries YouTube channel. All right. Also, if you want to be a financial partner with us, we would love for you to be part of that, and you can do that very simply as by going over to www.lifeofworshipamarillo.org. You can see it on your screen. And just pull that up. There's a donate tab on there, and you can do a one-time gift. Or you can actually subscribe and do just. We have people that subscribe, and they give uh, uh, based on whatever schedule they set up, and it's done automatically for them. You can do it that way as well. But like I said, if you prefer, just go in there and bring a tithe, bring your offering, bring a love gift, but but partner with us financially, because we know that those people that financially bless this ministry, they're putting seed into good ground, and that good ground produces a harvest for them, and that's just a biblical principle of reciprocity. But nevertheless, we're not making any promises. What we're just saying is that we want you to be part of this ministry, to be a blessing to this ministry, and it blesses because it's about kingdom. It's about the king and blessing the kingdom, and we're part of that. And if you've been part of us for a while, then you know where we are, what we've been through, what we've walked through, and so we're on here every week, so you get to know who we really are. And if you like that and you say, I really do like these guys, and we want to support them, you can go there and do that. And prayer partners are awesome. We would love for you to do that as well on our YouTube, or on our uh, at www.lifeofworshipamarillo.org. You can get our email address, and you can always contact us and write to us on email. And then we'll also keep you posted with all of when we do our streamcast, we'll keep you posted on what's going on at Life of Worship, for any special events that are going on, things that we're doing, and to connect with you, and you can connect with us. So that's enough for the housekeeping stuff. Let's get into it and jump right along. And I see oh, hey, shout out to Tammy and Terry on there online so far. By the way, I do want to say this. When we're done with the program and it's shut off, then go to the thing that's the comments that are underneath the video uh, thumbnail, and type in something about something that maybe it was amazing that you got out of this study. Just put that in there. And anybody else that's perusing, they're saying, hey, they're doing the book of Jubilees. I wonder what that's about. Here's one. And then they'll read your comment and say, oh, sounds pretty cool. I'll go in and look at it. So that really helps things out, and it helps drive people to the channel, and to pick up on the things we've been talking about, because ultimately we want people grounded. We want them rooted. We want them in, all the way back to their deep biblical roots, as well as to walk in spirit and truth, to walk in the fullness of the Holy Spirit for for victory over the enemy. That's ultimately what it is, life and that more abundantly. All right. So here we go. Yes, Tammy, that's good. The harvest is for Yehovah, whether in souls or blessings to the obedient. There you go. All right. Thank you. All right, we're going to pick it up, chapter 32, verse 1, and where it begins, and he abode. See, we started it already, but I had to throw in a little commercial. And now let's get into the next part of the study. And he abode that night at Beit El, and Levi dreamt that they had ordained and made him the priest of El Elyon, him and his sons forever. And he awoke from his sleep and blessed Yahweh. Whoa, okay, all right. Don't you see what happened here? This is the place that Jacob had this dream and he saw angels ascending and descending. And he said, if you'll just bring me back, I'm going to bless you and make an offering and bring it back to you in this place and bring you a tithe. That's what he said. And so Jacob's come back to this place. This is the place of the dream, and this is after the blessing of Yitzhak upon Levi and Yehuda. And guess what? Then Levi gets back there, and he is blessed with a dream, and he sees himself being ordained as priest of El Elyon. He and his sons forever. I mean, this is like a prequel. Yeah, it's like a prequel to the golden calf incident. So, all right, so here we go. So that's part of it. And then it says, and he woke from his sleep and blessed Yahweh. Okay, Yahweh. And Yaakov rose early in the morning on the 14th of this month. And Jubilees, of course, remember, it has particular countings. It's how we can actually pinpoint the actual day that this happened. When we put our thinking caps on together and go back and say, I know exactly what year that was. All right, so and Yaakov rose up early in the morning on the 14th of this month, and he gave a tithe of all that came with him, both of men and cattle, both of gold and every vessel and garment. Yea, he gave tithes of all. How do you give tithes of men? That's interesting, but that's what it says. And in those days, Rachel, became pregnant with her son Benjamin, and Yaakov counted his sons from him upwards, and Levi fell to the portion of Yahweh. And his father clothed him in the garments of the priesthood and filled his hands. And on the 15th of this month, he brought to the altar 14 oxen from amongst the cattle, 28 rams, 49 sheep, 7 lambs, 21 kids of the goats, as a burnt offering on the altar of sacrifice. That would be the burnt offering. That's going to be like an Olah offering. That's just like, I'm just bringing you this offering because I want to worship you. I want the aroma of the fragrance of these offerings just go before you, in worship and in praise. What's the Olah offering? Bottom line is when we go back to Vayikra in that first Torah portion of Leviticus, and it is to draw close to Yahweh. That's why we have the Olah offering as a burnt offering on the altar of sacrifice, well pleasing for a sweet savor before Elohim. Oh, just makes me think of good steaks grilling, doesn't it? But nevertheless, it's a burnt offering, so they don't eat any of it. And this was his offering in consequence of the vow, which he had vowed that he would give a tenth with their fruit offerings and their drink offerings. And when the fire had consumed it, he burned incense on the fire, over the fire, and for a thank offering, 2 oxen and 4 rams, 4 sheep, 4 he goats, 2 sheep of a year old, and 2 kids of the goats. And thus he did daily for 7 days. Woo. So he's bringing the promised tithe, giving it as an Olah offering, and then continuing for the next 7 days with these critters, crispy critters. Okay, and all his sons and his men were eating this with joy. So for like next 7 days, it was a barbecue. I mean, because it said he and all his sons and his men were eating this with joy there during 7 days, and blessing and thanking Yahweh, who had delivered him out of all his tribulation and given him his vow. Huh. Huh. Yeah. Okay, so he was able to fulfill his vow, bringing him back to this point, but also Jacob's tribulation. What was Jacob's tribulation? He was in exile for 20 years. Huh. It makes me think of some prophetic things, doesn't it? Does that not make you think about Jacob's because we think about Jacob's tribulations, we think about the trials that he had, and it was all outside of the land. And then he came back to the land. So what happens to the sons of Israel while they're outside of the land? Great tribulations? Hmm. Jacob, 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 Jacob. And he tithed all the clean animals and made a burnt sacrifice. But the unclean animals he gave not to Levi his son, and he gave him all the souls of the men. Oh, that's what they were. So he tithed the men and he says, you're going to go serve Levi. That's what it was. He said, you're going to be a servant. You're going to help him out. Gotcha. And Levi discharged the priestly office at Beit El before Yaakov, his father, in preference to his 10 brothers. And he was a priest. He was a priest there. And Yaakov gave his vow. Thus he tithed again, the tithe to Yahweh, and sanctified it, and it became holy unto him. And for this reason it is ordained on the heavenly tablets as a Torah for the tithing again, the tithe to eat before Yahweh from year to year, in the place where it is chosen that his name should dwell. And to this Torah, this instruction, there is no limit of days forever. In other words, it's perpetual. It's it's uh, it's not deleted because we moved into the Brit Hadashah or the New Testament time period. It's not dispensationalized, relegated to only the things of the past, but it is to be something that is fulfilled forever and ever. Now, at this place at Beit El, of course, that ends up being the place of where the temple is built, the place where we're supposed to go every year for the feast days and to bring our tithes to the temple, and we can't do it. And with the only real temple, or shall we say tabernacle, or which is Yeshua and Yeshua living in us. But do you realize that we will do that once again in the New Jerusalem? But I question the theology of those who say that a third temple being built is actually going to be Yahweh's temple, because it doesn't involve Yeshua. Just saying. Oh, another thought. Put it on the shelf. All right, think about it. There's a lot of evangelicals that are looking for a third temple, but who's going to run it? Who's going to light the fire? I mean, Bick? Is Bick going to light the fire? Just okay. This ordinance is written that it may be fulfilled from year to year, or is the Antichrist, the prophet of the anti-Messiah, the false prophet, going to light it with fire from heaven? Of course, that's not going to be from heaven. Heaven. It's going to be false fire.
I have breaking news.
You have breaking news. This is a pause in the saga.
We are teaching and doing worship.
We're teaching
and doing worship and morning prayers and youth. We're teaching once or twice.
Oh my. So if you just heard that, we are
And we're leading worship on Thursday and Saturday.
Thursday and Saturday. That's well, you need to come to Sukkot. We're joining up with Monty Judah this year over at Bell Cow Lake. And it's gonna be great. All right. So that was a little intermission, and back to this. So this ordinance is written that it may be fulfilled from year to year in eating the second tithe before Yahweh in the place where it's been chosen, and nothing shall remain from it from this year to the year following. Yeah, seed it all up. For in its year shall the seed be eaten till the days of the gathering of the seed of the year, and the wine till the days of the wine, and the oil till the days of its season. And did you hear what he's just talking about? We talked about this. We talked about this in the book of Enoch. We've talked about it here at Life of Worship. He's talking about these different tithes. The tithes of the seed, because you got the barley and you got the wheat, and then you got the tithes of the wine and the oil, and they're all supposed to be brought in, and they're all brought in at the perfect intervals. They're all the first fruits of the harvest. See, there's more than one first fruit. And a lot of times people think, well, It's the Sunday after the Passover. On that very week is the first fruit offering because Yeshua is our first fruit. Yeshua is our first fruit. But in terms of the practice, that was not the first fruit first day of the week. Some would call it Sunday. It's not the first fruit. It's 8 days later. And that's the first fruit. And that's when Yeshua presented himself to the disciples the second time. So when Thomas was present, so they were all present that second time on the first fruits when Yeshua presented himself there. It's all there in the book of John. We talked about it before, right? All right, let's keep going on. Study it out. Say what? Yeah, study it out. Why? Why is that little nugget put in there that 8 days later? Hmm. And all that is left thereof and becomes old, let it be regarded as polluted. Let it be burnt with fire, for it's unclean. Don't eat old food that was cooked on the altar if it's not refrigerated. But nevertheless, yeah, because they didn't have a refrigerator. Don't eat it; it'll make you sick. It's polluted. It's unclean. And thus let them eat together in the sanctuary, and let them not suffer it to become old, not to suffer it to become old, not allow it to become old. And all the tithes of the oxen, the sheep, shall be holy unto Yahweh, and shall belong to the priest, which they will eat before him from year to year. Isn't that pretty cool? Because when you think about it, because the feast days are always going to be there, and when we have these special times and occasions, guess who we get to eat it with? Our high priest, our Melchizedek priest, will be there feasting with us. The presentation of the high priest of the sons of Aaron and his sons coming out of Levi, right? Uh, keep that in mind that the high priest would eat with the people, and so the same will be with Yeshua, who is our Melchizedek priest. He's the King of righteousness and our high priest forever. It's ordained and engraved, and they'll be eat before him from year to year. For thus it is ordained and engraved regarding the tithe on the heavenly tablets. And on the following night, on the 22nd day of this month, Yaakov resolved to build that place and to surround the court with a wall and to sanctify it and to make it holy forever for himself and his children after him. And Yahweh appeared to him by night and blessed him and said unto him, Your name shall not be called Yaakov, but Israel shall they name your name. Okay, I think this is the second time that Jacob, has been told, Your name is Israel. And he said unto him, and again, I am Yahweh, who created the heavens and the earth, and I will increase you and multiply you exceedingly, and the kings shall come forth from you, and they shall judge everywhere, wherever the foot of the sons of men has trodden. Oh, wow. Yeah. Because why? Well, there's a blessing here. It's uh it's like saying, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." It's also just saying, "Look, my kingdom will know no end." Uh, uh, yeah, we sing a song about that, and it says, "Yeah, wherever the foot of the sons of men has trodden." In other words, that line of Jacob, the line of Israel, establishing kingship around the world. And I will give to your seed all the earth which is under heaven, and they shall judge all the nations according to their desires. And after that, they shall get possession of the whole earth and inherit it forever. Because keep this in mind, this is how the chosen lineage from the line of Adam takes dominion over and subdues the entire earth. This is the plan all along. Yeah, it did get hijacked. And this is why we needed Yeshua, the second Adam, to come and establish all this, who is, by the way, of the line of Judah, who is one of the two boys that lay down with Yitzhak and spent the night there in Yitzhak's tent from last week's discussion. And he finished speaking to him, and he went up from him, and Yaakov looked till he had ascended into heaven. What, 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 what was, wow. Okay. Okay. I know I interjected a whole bunch of stuff, but just catch what I just said. Jacob just had an encounter. It says, Yahweh appeared to him by night and blessed him and said unto him, here's your name. I'm the one who created the heavens and the earth. This is what's going to happen to your family. And when he got done talking with him, he went up from him, and Yaakov looked till he had ascended unto heaven, the place where, yeah, Jacob had the vision of angels ascending and descending right there. And so at that same place, it's like this open doorway. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Interesting, I'm saying. And he saw in a vision of the night, and behold, an angel descended from heaven with 7 tablets in his hands, and he gave them to Jacob, and he read them, and knew all that was written therein, which would befall him and his sons throughout all the ages. So Jacob's tribulations, the time of Jacob's trouble, is it past or is it future? As Halisa Alawine would say, yes. All right, so going on. And he showed him all that was written on the tablets and said to him, do not build this place and do not make it an eternal sanctuary and do not dwell here, for this is not the place. Go to the house of Abraham, your father, and dwell with Isaac, your father, until the day of the death of your father. For in Mitzrayim you shall die in peace, and in this land you shall be buried with honor in the sepulchre of your fathers with Abraham and Isaac. Fear not. Okay, that's pretty cool. He's saying, okay, you know, it's not time to build. It's not time to build here, but the time will come because the land had not been handed over to them yet. It had not reached, the sin had not reached its fill. It hadn't matured enough in the land, and so, and the family had grown big enough in order to purge the land. So they got to have a little bit of time period. But it's pretty cool where he says, look, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to watch over you, and you're going to go to Egypt, and you're going to be there, and then what's going to happen? You're going to die there, but you're going to be buried with your father. And that's why when Jacob dies, he makes Joseph promise him that he doesn't leave his body there. And they had that great entourage of this funeral procession all the way to Abraham's tomb. Yeah, what a promise, and it's fulfilled. We know that because we read ahead. For in Mitzrayim you shall die in peace, and in this land you shall be buried with honor in the sepulchre of your fathers with Abraham and Isaac. Fear not, for as you have not, for you have seen and read it. Fear not, for you have seen and read it. Do you think there's so much that Jacob, Israel, contemplated as a result of reading these 7 tablets? And and it says, thus shall it be, and do not write down everything as you have seen and read. It's a secret. And Yaakov said, Yahweh, how can I remember all that I have read and seen? And he said unto him, I will bring all things to your remembrance. And he went up from him, and he awoke from his sleep, and he remembered everything which he had read and seen. And he wrote down all the words which he had read and seen. And he celebrated there yet another day, another feast day, like like an 8th day, maybe. Yeah, it was an 8th day because they did it for a week, and then they did stay for another day, a full week, and then the download came. A full week, the disciples were closed up in the room, and Yeshua showed up on the 8th day. 7 days that the priests would be sequestered in the tabernacle, And on the eighth day, they come out and they present themselves. Isn't that amazing? Hmm, I like that. Okay. And he went up from him and he woke him from his sleep and remembered everything. And he read and seen. And he wrote down all the words which he had read and seen. And he celebrated there yet another day. And he sacrificed thereon according to all that he sacrificed on the former days. And he called its name Addition. For this day was added, and the former days he called the feast. Oh, oh, the former days, like the 7 days, and then the eighth day, the additional day. And thus it was manifested that it should be, and it is written on the heavenly tablets. Wherefore it was revealed to him that he should celebrate it and add it to the 7 days of the feast. Boy, I'm telling you, everything just seems to point to that this must be Sukkot. It's got to be. And its name was called the Edition because it was recorded amongst the days of the feast days according to the number of the days of the year. And in the night on the 23rd of this month, Deborah, Rivka's nurse, died, and they buried her beneath the city under the oak of the river. And he called the name of this place the river of Deborah, and the oak of the morning of Deborah. And Rivka went and returned to her house to his father Isaac, and Yaakov sent by her hand rams and sheep and goats, that she should prepare a meal for his father, such as he desired. It's pretty cool. And he went after his mother till he came to the land of the Kevratan, and he dwelt there. And Rachel, bore a son in the night, and called his name Son of My Sorrow. Well, we got a little preface earlier that it was going to be Benjamin, and but his father called his name. Wait a minute, Son of My Sorrow. Yeah, but his father called his name Benjamin on the 11th of the eighth month, in the first of the sixth week of this jubilee. Well, and Rachel died there, and she was buried in the land of Ephrathah. 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 The name is Bethlehem. And Yaakov built a pillar on the grave of Rachel, on the road above her grave. So that's really sad. It's very sad, but it's sad and there's sorrow and yet joy because of a child, another baby being born. So, boy, we're doing good. We are now in chapter 33. We're moving right along. This is a journey. So you get to hear my commentary on this journey, but it's about a journey, not necessarily a Bible study, even though study things are brought to our attention. Okay. And Yaakov went and dwelt to the south of Magdaladraeth, and he went to his father Isaac, he and Leah, his woman, because he just has one wife left, his woman, and and the beginning of the month of the 10th month. So that was on the beginning of the month of the 10th month. And Reuben saw Bilhah, Rachel's maid, the concubine of his father, bathing in water in a secret place. And he loved her. And no, that's not cool. And he hid himself at night, and he entered the house of Bilhah at night, and he found her sleeping alone on a bed in her house. I'm telling you, this is like shows everything. Well, almost, but and he lay with her, and she awoke and saw, and behold, Reuben was lying with her in the bed. And she uncovered the border of her covering and seized him and cried out and discovered that it was Reuben. And she was ashamed because of him and released her hand from him, and he fled. And she lamented because of this thing exceedingly, and did not tell it to anyone. And when Yaakov returned and sought her, she said unto him, I am not clean for you, for I have been defiled as regards you. For Reuben has defiled me, and has lain with me in the night, and I was asleep, and did not discover until he uncovered my skirt and slept with me. And Yaakov was exceedingly wroth with Reuben, because he had lain with Bilhah, because he had uncovered his father's skirt. And Yaakov did not approach her again, because Reuben had defiled her. And as for any man who uncovers his father's skirt, his deed is wicked exceedingly, for he is abominable before Yahweh. For this reason it is written or ordained in the heavenly tablets that a man should not lie with his father's woman, and should not uncover his father's skirt. And for this is unclean, for they shall surely die. That was in the Torah portion last week, and more. You don't do that with family members. Not cool. The man who lies with his father's woman, and the woman also, for they have wrought uncleanness on the earth, and there shall be nothing unclean before Elohim in the nation which he has chosen for himself as a possession. And again, it is written a second time, cursed be he who lies with the woman of his father, for he has uncovered his father's shame. And all the Kedoshim of Yahweh said, so be it, so be it. Amen and amen. Amen and amen. And do you, Moshe, command the children of Israel that they observe this word? For it entails a punishment of death, and it is unclean, and there is no atonement forever to atone for the man who has committed this. For he is to be put to death and slain and stoned with stones and rooted out from the midst of the people of our Elohim. For to no man who does so in Israel is it permitted to remain alive a single day on the earth, for he is an abominable and unclean. Wow. And let them not say, to Reuben was granted life and forgiveness after he had lain with his father's concubine, and to her also, though he had a man, although that she had a man, and her man Yaakov, his father was still alive. Reuben. For until that time there had not been revealed the ordinance and judgment in Torah instructions in its completeness for all, but in your days it's been revealed as a Torah of seasons and of days, and an everlasting Torah for everlasting generations. This is really important. It's very interesting that that we get the commandments, and then where's the precedence? Where did it all start? Well, there we have it in Jubilees. It's because of Reuben. But maybe Reuben saved a lot of people, even though he's messed up. But maybe his action resulted in a life-giving Torah. And for this Torah, there's no consummation of days and no atonement for it. But they must both be rooted out in the midst of the nation. On the day whereon they committed it, they shall slay them. Pretty severe. This is capital punishment stuff. Don't do it. Don't do it. And do you, Moshe, write it down for Israel that they may observe it and do according to these words and not commit a sin unto death? For Yahweh Elohim, oh, wait a minute. For Yahweh Eloheinu is judge, who respects not persons and accepts not gifts. Look at this. This is really interesting. They just call this lying down with your okay, uncovering your father's skirts, lying down with his wife. And whether it's a stepmother or like in this case a concubine, says you don't do that, it's wrong. But it is, get this, it is a sin unto death. that they may observe it and do according to these words and not commit a sin unto death. This is considered a sin unto death. And so when you see the commentary of that in the Brit Hadashah about a sin unto death, which usually we say it's a sin or blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, that when you think about it in the terms of the Pastor Sandy's talked about this a lot. The feminine aspect of Yahweh is the spirit of Yah. We're not talking that there's a gender necessarily a place in terms of how Yah is described, but sinning against the Holy Spirit would be like laying with your father's wife. In other words, the bride of honestly, it's a kind like a different like a bride, like you don't it's like mixture. It's like going after other gods. It's like it's in that it's almost in that that way of thinking almost. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing some stuff out. It's very interesting. And it says, for Yahweh Eloheinu is judge who respects not persons and accepts not gifts. And and then here's the other thing is Yahweh Eloheinu is judge, and doesn't James 4:12 tell us that Yeshua is both judge and Torah giver? So who is Yahweh Eloheinu? Because it's capital J, judge. He is judge. Yahweh Eloheinu is judge. Yeshua is judge and lawgiver, Torah giver, who respects not persons and accept not gifts. And you can't help but draw the parallels and still try to separate the two. You can't separate Yeshua from the Father because Yeshua is the exact manifestation of the Father and is the right sits at the right hand of the Father. In other words, he sits at as the power and the authority of Yah. He's the exact expression of Yahweh. So he's the one and the same, expressed by the manifestation in the natural. Okay, that's I digress there, but I'm just talking about that Yahweh Eloheinu is judge. Verse 19, and tell them these words. I'm just making this is making me ponder things. Are you pondering stuff with this? I'm pondering. I'm selahing. Hmm. Pause and think about this. And tell them these words of the covenant, that they may hear and observe and be on their guard with respect to them, and not be destroyed and rooted out of the land. For an uncleanness and an abomination and a contamination and a pollution are all they who commit it on the earth before Elohim. And there is no greater sin than the fornication which they commit on earth. For Israel is a holy nation unto Yahweh, its Elohim, and a nation of inheritance, and a priestly and royal nation, and for his own possession, and there shall no such uncleanness appear in the midst of the holy nation. Wow, what a charge! What a charge that is. And yet, right here, he's saying, hey, look, okay, I know you're just a family right here. You know, here's the boys and your wives, and uh, but you are a nation. I think Yahweh is looking at Jacob. He says, I'm looking at you, Jacob. Your name is Israel because I look to you because you're a nation. I see what you don't see because I can see further down the road. You're a nation of people. And you are a priestly and royal nation. And so the limitation is not limited to only Levi, but a priestly and royal nation, just like over in Exodus chapter 19, talking about the royal priesthood, just like what Peter talks about being a royal priesthood in the order of Melchizedek. which is really where this all comes down to, because this is the Melchizedek lineage. The lineage is passed down through Yaakov, Jacob, Israel, and uh, so there, even though there is the priestly class, it is not limiting our ability to be able to enter into His presence and to minister before Yahweh like a priest. I'm not saying that we're doing sacrifice or any that type of thing like that. Yeshua did complete it. He is the fulfillment of all that. That's what Hebrews talks to us about. But we had to have all these pictures beforehand in order to understand and see Yeshua. How do you not see Yeshua after going through Vayikra? I mean, after all, going through all the details, all the different offerings that are made, and all the details that it just unfolds, and the various sundry laws that are given, and the blessings and the curses and all the et cetera, et cetera. How can we not see Yeshua and his kingdom being unfolded with all the principles? And you're like, what are you talking about? Well, come join us on our Torah portion on Shabbat, because we do dive pretty deep. We and I think it's worth your time. Go back and visit our Torah portions. I think you'll enjoy them. And in the 3rd year of the 6th week, Yaakov and all his sons went and dwelt in the house of Abraham, near Yitzhak his father, and Rivkah his mother. And these were the names of the sons of Yaakov: the firstborn Reuben, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun; the sons of Leah and the sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin, Joseph and Benjamin; and the sons of Bilhah, Dan and Naphtali; and the sons of Zilpah, Gad and Asher; and Dinah, the daughter of Leah, and only daughter of Yaakov. And they came and bowed themselves to Yitzhak and Rivkah. And when they saw them, they blessed Yaakov and all his sons. And Yitzhak rejoiced exceedingly, for he saw the sons of Yaakov, the younger son, and he blessed them. Well, well, so what a thrill that Abraham said, hey, look at this. These are my great grandchildren. You got a lot of them. I like them. And I'm going to bless them. And especially the younger son, the sons of Yaakov, his younger son. And he blessed him. Hmm. Yeah, because Yaakov was the younger son. But so was Joseph, a younger son. And Benjamin. No, I'm just saying. I think he's blessing. Uh, and he blessed them. He blessed them all. I think Abraham was having a good time. I mean, that's before internet and YouTube, cable TV, if you have cable TV, satellite, but we don't do that. But nevertheless, yeah, it's before all those before cell phones and all of the smartphone stuff. Okay, going on, I digress. And chapter 34, we are making some progress today. And in the 6th year of this week, of this 44th Jubilee, Yaakov sent his sons to pasture their sheep, and his sons with them to the pastures of Shechem. And video cameras, that's right, Terry. And so he sent the boys to Shechem. And boys will be boys while they're gone. So he's got to send somebody to check on them to see what's going on. And the 7 kings of the Emorium assembled themselves together against them to slay them, hiding themselves under the trees, to take their cattle as a prey. And Yaakov and Levi and Yehuda and Joseph were in the house, and Yitzhak their father, for his ruach was sorrowful. Oh, listen to this. And they could not leave him, and Benjamin was the youngest, and for this reason remained with his father. And there came the kings of Taphu, and the kings of Aresa, and the kings of Sargon, and the kings of Selo, and the kings of Gaas, and the kings of Beit Horon, and the king of Maanisakir, and all those who dwell in these mountains, and all who dwell in the woods in the land of Canaan. And they announced this to Yaakov, saying, Behold, the kings of the Amorim have surrounded your sons and plundered their herds. And he rose from his house, he and his 3 sons, and all the servants of his father, and his own servants, and he went against them with 6,000 men who carried swords. Wow, that's a lot of employees. That's really a lot of employees, isn't it? 6,000 because he got all the men from his father and his own servants. It's wow, and you got to feed them all. He's got to be really, really wealthy. And he's and so anyway, they 6,000 men who carried swords, and he slew them in the pastures of Shechem, and pursued those who fled, and he slew them with the edge of the sword, and he slew Arisa, and Tafu, and Sargon, and Selu, and Maanisakir, and Gaas, and he recovered his herds, and he prevailed over them, and imposed tribute on them that they should pay him tribute, 5 fruit products of their land, and he built Robel and Tamnatares. This is okay. This is pretty cool. They got him out of his funk. It could be that way too. Yeah. How does a rich man become richer? Well, he just goes takes others' kingdoms and make them pay tribute, right? What an entourage that went down into Egypt after that. I mean, 6,000. Says, and he returned in peace and made peace with them, and they became his servants until the day that he and his sons went down into Mitzrayim. It's like, okay, we're gone. You're on your own. Enjoy the droughts. Enjoy the famine. We're not taking care of you anymore. And in the 7th year of this week, he sent Joseph, to learn about the welfare of his brothers from his house to the land of Shechem, and he found them in the land of Dothan. And so, could it be because sometimes they're like, well, the boys are out playing, these young men, and I'm going to go check on their welfare and tell me what's going on. But he just had to go fight for them to get the boys back, his sons back. I mean, they're grown men. But he had to fight for him to get the sons back and all of his herds. And so, and he found them in the land. Yeah, he was in a funk. And but why was he in that? Because his spirit was sorrowful and they could not leave him. Because was there something going on in his spirit that he was grieving, that he knew something was going on, and then the messengers came? There came and they told him what was going on. He's like, okay, that's why I don't feel very good. That's why I'm emotionally in a downward spiral. But now I know why it is, because my sons were attacked, taken captive. That would get him out of his funk. Perfect. Okay, Joseph. Had to find the land of Dothan. Notice this doesn't say anything about the man in the field. Say, where are my brothers? And verse 11, and they dealt treacherously with him and formed a plot against him to slay him. But changing their minds, they sold him to the Ishmaelite merchants, and they brought him down into Mitzrayim, and they sold him to Potiphar, the eunuch of Pharaoh, the chief of the cooks, priests. What? The eunuch of Pharaoh, the chief of the cooks, priest of the city of Elu. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, stop right there. Did you know Potiphar was a eunuch of Pharaoh? No wonder Potiphar's wife was like, hey, Joseph, I'm just saying. It kind of fills in a blank there, doesn't it? All right. Just little reveals. That's why we're reading Jubilees, these little reveals that tells us like, now we know the rest of the story. And the sons of Yaakov slaughtered a kid and dipped the coat of Joseph in the blood and sent it to Yaakov, their father, in the 10th of the 7th month. And he mourned all that night, for they had brought it to him in the evening, and he became feverish with the mourning for his death. And he said, an evil beast has devoured Joseph. And all the members of his house mourned with him that day, and they were grieving and mourning with him all that day. And his sons and daughter rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted for his son. And on that day, Bilhah heard that Joseph had perished, and she died mourning him. And she was living in Kaphratah, and Dinah, also his daughter, died after Joseph had perished. Oh no. Or we're just going to have to stop right there, like, because we're like out of time. We're in chapter 34, where it just ended verse 15. We're going to pick it up next time. But oh, what a cliffhanger that is. Boy, talk about grief. Good grief, Charlie Brown. Well, good thing Israel didn't die too, but Bilhah, it tells you something about family relations and all of that. And even Dinah, the daughter, the only daughter, dies. Ugh, no, that's like rough. What did the brothers do to the family? So much we don't understand. Oh, what's that song that Father, Father, what did we see here today? And it's about watch the lamb. Watch the lamb. Where's the lamb in the midst of all this? Oh, this has been pretty crazy. It's been quite a journey today. Hope hope it was more than entertaining, but eye-opening and revealing, and this incredible stuff that's going on behind the scenes. I don't know. Pretty good stuff, Maynard. We'll see y'all next time. This is John Craig with Life of Worship Ministries. Shalom.
If you missed today's show or want to watch it again or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lambnetwork.tv, where you will find this show and all the other live Lamb show archives in the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell someone about the Messianic Lamb Network. We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussions, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the lambnetwork.tv website. I'm Sandi Craig, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network. Thank you.